Welcome to our 5 p.m. Zoom. Hi, Lynette. I'll be your backroom girl and try to let people in, and because there'll be some chat on Zoom, be some chat in Facebook as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've got some people waiting to come in.
Yes. Hi, Lynn.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
I've loved watching you on Facebook.
It's been brilliant, hasn't it?
It's been wonderful. It's been like getting a dose of vitamin Lynn every morning is just fabulous.
Yeah, it's been great. And we're very grateful, Lynn, because as you said, it's more stressful than walking a catwalk. And
Completely. I've done that. And it was a damn sight easier than getting up in the morning and wrapping your head around the fact that you're going to do this. And you talk about sobriety and picking up new challenges. Hell, man. Even Mon decided to join the crew. Blew me away. She's so good at this. It's just fantastic what is happening. And I love this format for the Reset program. People have a chance to meet us. Now they know, come breaking free, they know who we are. There's a familiarity around. We're sisters already. I think it's brilliant. I love it.
so people can see us and they can decide whether we are their people or not.
Absolutely.
That's good.
And that works both ways.
I should do a little intro, actually, because we don't get the chance to do that when it's just Facebook Live. Lynette, what can I say about Lynette? It was more than 8 years that Lynette stomped into a workshop I was running in Joburg, looking rather grumpy. She might share her story herself, but she didn't get it straight away. She wasn't quite ready. She didn't leave the workshop and stop drinking. It took a little while, but she got it and she absolutely threw herself into it. We talk about finding our purpose when we get sober. And with Lynette, she decided that she wanted to train as a coach. And I think she was going to go and study psychology, but she decided instead she was going to study coaching. And she qualified as a coach and she's worked with some top coaches. And she's been our fabulous head coach now for at least 7 years, isn't it, Lynette? She's got her own coaching practice, but she's an absolute essential part of Tribe Sober, and she does so much for us. She participates in masterclasses and webinars, and we'd be lost without her, frankly. We appreciate you, Lynette. And over to you to start your talk about managing early sobriety.
Oh, thank you. I would be lost without you. It's also the truth.
Oh, are we codependent? Is that something else?
You're codependent. Oh my gosh. Yes, maybe I'm alluding to that. But I think it's part of the beautiful synergy that has evolved in my life. So hello, fabulous resetters and friends who are on Facebook Live. I'm in the Zoom room being streamed live, and my name is Lynette LaRue, and I'm the head coach for Tribe Sober. And a little bit about me, I came to a workshop almost 9 years ago. Didn't get it quite straight away, but eventually I landed the airplane, or the plane, as Janet likes to say. So some of you are struggling with your day ones, or you know what to do and you're not quite landing the plane yet. Don't give up. You're in the right place. And giving yourself these 5 days as a reset is brilliant, because you really have been looking at your relationship with alcohol, and you've been given some amazing tools. These last 4 days, you've started off with the mindset, the finding your why, understanding the moderation trap. And now today, I'm going to talk to you about early sobriety and how to navigate early sobriety in the best possible way, so that it becomes a journey for you of growth and enjoyment and curiosity and fun. And yes, there's going to be some pain, but it's all about, I'm going to share with you, it's all about how we lean into our discomfort. And it's a beautiful way for us to learn to build capacity, our own inner capacity, to not numb, but to hold all the feels. I often tell the story of when I first got sober and I was really struggling, and I got a coach. One of the first things she said to me was, Lynette, you don't have a drinking problem. You have an underfeeling problem. And I was like, what? And now it completely makes sense to me. I was drinking not to feel the big feels. I was drinking to distract myself often from myself. But if you want to hear more about my story, you can also listen to my story on the Tribe Sober podcast. And I also did a 6-part series, which I called my Butterfly series for Tribe Sober on the podcast that you can listen to, where you'll hear more about my story, my approach, my tools, and what really helped me get sober. But for now and for today, it's about you, and it's about your story and the chapters that you are writing now. And I really do believe that in our human life, we are always called to write new chapters. One chapter ends, a new chapter begins. So what is the new chapter that's beginning for you? And I have a sense it has something to do with Tribe Sober, getting sober, breaking free from a habit that's really held you trapped. So I want to start with a story, and maybe you see yourself in the story. I certainly saw myself in the story, and it's a story about a man who is looking for his keys under a lamppost. And he's looking and he's looking and he's looking, and eventually his neighbor comes down and says to him, "Can I help you? What are you looking for?" And he says to her, "I'm looking for my keys." And so she says, "Can I help you look?" He says, yes. She helps him look. They look. Eventually she says to him, "Are you sure this is where you dropped the keys?" And he says, "No." So she says to him, "Then why are you looking here?" And he said, "Because it's the only place where there's light." And this might sound like a crazy story to you, but it's a familiar story because we keep looking for the keys in Moderation Mary. I'll start on Monday. We create rules for ourselves and we keep trying the same thing to get sober. And it hasn't worked for some of us for years, but we keep trying the same approach. And we keep looking in what feels familiar. And I will explain why we do that. Because the brain loves the familiar, even though it knows it's maybe not where we're going to find the answers, but we'll feel safe here. We'll feel safe in the light. And so I love that story because I always ask myself, where am I going back to looking for the keys in a familiar place, but that's not where they really are. So it starts with the awareness. Where I'm looking is not where the keys are. And I saw so much awareness in your posts today that you shared about your day. How many day ones have you had? How ready are you to change? What got you, what was your longest sober stretch? Why did you slip? So these were all like really interesting questions, which some of you answered so beautifully. Sharon shared about how she was doing well, sticking to being her sober days. Then she went to see a friend for dinner, and she decided to bring a bottle of wine that her friend loves. And before she knew it, there she was drinking the wine with her friend. Afterwards, she was like, "Why did I bring that bottle of wine? I was setting myself up." She was in the familiar, under the lamppost, wanting to feel, without even thinking, her brain took her to what felt safe, what felt comfortable. And now she knows, and this was her own awareness. She said, "Next time, maybe I rather should bring flowers." And that's beautiful. Caroline shared about her tracker looking like a Swiss cheese. And that really made me smile. And you know why it made me smile? Because even though her tracker looks like a Swiss cheese, she's still showing up and she's still in the game. And she is still here and she's still looking. Maybe she's now starting to look at elsewhere, not in the same place anymore. And I love that. Caroline, I can't wait for your tracker to start looking like a beautiful cheddar cheese, not a Swiss cheese, a Gouda cheese without holes. We're going to get you there. And Stephen, he shared that his readiness kind of fluctuates between I'm 68% ready, and then I am maybe now today I'm 20, and then I'm up again. So why does his readiness fluctuate? Because of FOMO. He's got this thing about the fear of missing out. Like when he's on a flight, the free drinks. Notice how the brain just tricks us. And I loved how Janet shared with him, what about the joy of missing out on hangovers, on not being clear the next day? And he got it. And he said, you're right. Because one of the things I miss the most is my sailing. So I'm not doing my hobbies. I miss being clear. So awareness, like becoming aware of our patterns is the first step. And Linda is on day 4 now, I think. But she also shared something very valuable as to what sometimes holds her back, or what she's experiencing is grief. And it's like a loss of an abusive lover, almost a lover. Even so often you miss something, even though it's not good for you. And so she used the example of an abusive lover. And Janet said, write a goodbye letter. And it's really so helpful, which is also where I'm going to talk about the power of journaling, writing a letter to yourself about what you are losing and what you are gaining. And very powerful. Paula was really celebrating and already feeling, I love the way that she celebrated joyfully Linda's day 3 and her day 2. And that's really what I want to say in terms of mindset. So much is about mindset, which is also what Mo was talking about. Mo said something has clicked. That means she's flipped the switch. When something has clicked, we all say something, and like Linda, only one day one. Never ever question the decision. I've got this. And it's like something clicks. Like on that day when I had not this moment, finally I flipped the switch and something clicked. And when something clicks, and I'm not looking under the lamppost anymore. I'm finding a different way now. That is when change happens, and it feels much easier. That's the difference between willpower and choice. I'm doing this because I know this is what I want. Something has clicked. Celine also shared a very beautiful, interesting post, how she's at 68%. She doesn't feel quite ready yet. She's often done challenges, but she often doesn't complete the challenges. And what holds her back is feeling restricted. The brain does not like feeling restricted or deprived. It will always then argue and justify for what? You are right. And it can sound like self-care. This is what's so tricky, how the brain can really trick us. You need the rest. You know what? Your boss was just too tough on you today. This thing happened. You deserve to drink. Just for today. You can start again on Monday. And Celine alluded to that of, that things need to change. The situations need to change. Then it will be easier. And what I'm going to offer is, what if when you change your relationship with alcohol, your situations become easier? It's actually, again, I'm going to talk about becoming counterintuitive. Intuitively, we think it's the boss. It's my husband that did this. It's the person that cut me off in the traffic. It's that heavy fine that I got. It's this unfair event that life has thrown at me. But those are situations we have no control over. But when we realize that what we do have control over is ourselves, that is where our freedom comes. So I love reading your shares. I love that, just seeing where you're at, and it shows me so much awareness. And that is the first key to success, awareness. So why is it so hard? There was me saying to my coach, it's so hard. And she said to me, what's wrong with hard? And then she explained something to me as to why I was resisting hard. And she spoke about my inner resistance to change. We all have that inner resistance to change. It's like our brain argues for the familiar. So maybe just to explain this to you in another story, before I speak about the motivational triad, I'll explain it to you in a beautiful story, which my current coach and mentor, Dr. 𝐬𝐿𝐫𝐞, shared with me about her son. She said her son loves to pull her into arcades, and he loves to play specifically the game where you have a crane and a big box full of toys, and you give it money, and then you have a joystick, and then you try and you grab the toys inside, these beautiful big fluffies and Legos and all the fun things. So there he goes. He's determined. He's got the joystick. He's lining up that crane. He's lining it up. He's got that big piece of Lego and he's pulling it up and he's pulling it up and then it drops. He puts some more money in. He goes again. Now he's got a big fluffy toy and he's bringing it up and so it goes. His money gets depleted. His energy gets depleted, and he starts getting frustrated. So how many of us do not understand the machine is rigged? The machine is doing what it's supposed to do. We cannot change the machine, but so why do we keep playing that game? So let me explain that game to you as our brain. We have a primitive brain. Our primitive brain is wired for safety. It's got an operating system which is very similar to the same system that animals operate on. And that is to avoid pain and discomfort, to get to pleasure, and to conserve energy. Now, that is what we call in neuroscience the motivational triad, the operating system. So we want to understand this operating system that we've inherited. It's our primitive brain. It's always it's rigged like that machine, like that crane machine, to always go for safety and pleasure and conserve energy. When you ask yourself, why is it when at 5 o'clock in the afternoon, when I've told myself I'm not going to drink, that I find myself drinking? Or if I've said to myself, I'm going to start a new exercise program, and then I maybe do it for a few days and then I don't continue. It's because the brain does not like change. It likes the familiar. The familiar is what got us here, but what got us here is not going to get us there to freedom. What's going to get us to freedom is our higher brain, our prefrontal cortex. And our prefrontal cortex is how we have evolved as humans. It's what separates us from the animals, because our prefrontal brain can contemplate and can plan ahead of time, which means we can see what's happening when we get curious. And I also, we understand that we are living in this brain, which is a blob of jelly that can imagine stars and can visualize angels. It's a fantastic house that we live in. This brain is a fantastic tool that we have, but we can use it against us or we can use it for us. So when we just allow the brain to operate its survival system, the motivational triad, it's always going to argue for the familiar. But when we want to evolve, when we want to create something different, we need to go to the prefrontal cortex, our higher brain. That's why having a plan is so important. This week, you've had a plan. You've had a plan of just show up for the reset, do the tasks, follow the instructions, turn up. And if you've been in on, and if you've planned that and you've been in on that plan, you have set yourself up for success this week. But if you don't, the primitive brain lives in the moment. So it will always make decisions from the past. It will always follow the familiar pattern, which is why it's so important to plan ahead of time what you're going to do. Like Sharon discovered, if she had played the movie forward. And this is one of our favorite tools in Tribe Sober. Play the movie forward. You're going to your prefrontal brain. And we do it when we are in a place of relaxation, when we are contemplating, when we are relaxed, we plan our week, we have our game plan, and then we follow it. But if we don't, we'll be drawn into the moment and into our old patterns very quickly. And we'll find ourselves buying that bottle of wine, and we'll say, it's my friend's favorite bottle of wine. I'm just going to treat her. And before I know it, I'm drinking it with her. But next time I'm going to plan ahead for that. I'm going to know that's how I tripped up. So I'm going to bring flowers instead. That's how we use our prefrontal cortex. It means we have to be counterintuitive. And being counterintuitive means that we embrace pain, we lean into discomfort. We understand that discomfort is the currency of growth. So instead of saying no and avoiding it, we lean in. We delay our pleasure. We delay the immediate pleasure of the immediate relief to the relief we feel tomorrow morning when we wake up without a hangover, or when we see our tracker just gleaming with ticks. Check, yes, green, I did it. That sense of accomplishment. When we hook up our future, the future us, for freedom from alcohol, that is the pleasure that's awaiting us. But we have to delay that pleasure. And instead of conserving energy, we use emotional energy. Now, what do I mean by when I say we use emotional energy? It's the emotional energy of consistency, of following our plan, of having our own back, even when it's tough. It's managing the urges, knowing the urges are going to come, not giving into the urges. These are all the ways that you not only build your capacity for sobriety, but your capacity to thrive in life. And so if I need one thing with you today, it's plan, have a game plan. And how beautiful that tomorrow Janet is going to invite you into a beautiful, intimate container of a small group, which can become your plan for the next 3 months. And that plan consistently followed, as you've done this week, is going to take you into what we call breaking free. So right now, you're almost like the caterpillar in its chrysalis. You're in the cocoon. You're starting to dissolve your own old patterns. That it's time for the caterpillar to dissolve and for the butterfly to emerge. So the next three months, we're going to show you how. And one of the keys for me was to be seen by someone who understood my brain, my patterns, and that was a coach. So 3 months into my sobriety, I got a coach. And my coach helped me see my own self, see my brain, see my operating system, and see how I was using it against myself. It was one of the most empowering relationships that I've ever had. I continue to be coached and mentored because of that, because I often can't see my own way that I trip myself up. And the reason why I'm talking about that is that the first 5 people who sign up for Breaking Free are going to get an additional coaching session. So already in joining Breaking Free, you're going to get a coaching session, but now you're going to get an additional one. And I cannot say to you what a beautiful gift that is, a gift to yourself, to allow yourself to just go through being coached. And especially you can take up your coaching session at the beginning, in the middle, and the end, but I think you're going to have 3 coaching sessions all in all. If you're not one of the first 5, but it's going to be myself coaching, so you can get a coaching session with me, and there's also Darren coaching, so you can see the different styles. You can have a different experience of different coaches. And then there's going to be Patty's journaling workshop, priceless. The art of journaling and learning how you can use journaling to really access your higher brain, to see your lower brain, your primitive brain, to see how you're tripping yourself up. And one of the most powerful things that Patty teaches in her journaling is that sometimes we tend to just journal our misery. And I think Stephen spoke about that yesterday. Or we just journal the same things. But if we start by a practice of where we journal our gratitudes, and when we journal our gratitude, we journal not only I'm grateful for, but I'm grateful for and the why behind it. That is where we link it, where we link the gratitude with the heart. So the brain and the heart link. It is so powerful. That wiring is what epigenetics speak about when they say that we can change the expression of our genes. We cannot change our genetic makeup. We cannot change how our brain is wired and fired. It's a very complex brain that I'm always going to offer you to get a relationship with. But when you understand your brain and the way your brain works, you can change the way it expresses. So rather than being somebody who's hypervigilant all the time and in high anxiety, and because some of our brains are wired that way for safety, we can learn how to express differently, and we can learn the tools. And journaling is one way that we can do that. It's been proven. They talk about it in neuroscience and neurobiology. And you, as part of your Breaking Free program, are going to have a journaling workshop with Patty. Priceless. So valuable. So what are you already waiting for? This is your one beautiful life. It's your one beautiful, wild, precious life, as Mary Oliver likes to say. And I want to tell you today that you are invited into thriving in that life, and that we can't wait to see you in our container, in our Breaking Free program, where you're going to be held, where you're going to be seen, where you're going to be validated, where you're going to be encouraged. It's really a container of growth and freedom. You're in the chrysalis, you're in the cocoon, but we are helping you grow those wings. So thank you for listening, and I can't wait to see what you do next and what you share next.
Thank you so much, Lynette.